Every single person who has ever built serious, lasting wealth, the kind that doesn't disappear when they stop working, did it through one of three specific mechanisms. Not four, not 12, three. Now, you've probably heard vague advice about investing early, or starting a business, or getting a high-paying job. That's not wrong, but it's incomplete because the advice isn't the hard part. The structure underneath it is. So today, we're going deep on each of these three paths. How they actually work, what makes them difficult, and most importantly, why so many smart, hardworking people still end up failing at all three. If success is your goal and you're ready to level up, make sure you subscribe. Every video is crafted to move you closer to the life you deserve. Let's get into it. Path 1. Build the engine. The first path is creation. You build something from scratch, you scale it, and you hold on to your ownership stake as it grows. That's the entire blueprint. Simple to explain, extraordinarily hard to pull off. Look at any list of self-made billionaires, and you'll find one pattern dominating the top spots. They were founders. They didn't inherit the machine. They assembled it, piece by piece, from nothing. Here's the economic principle that makes this so powerful. Income scales linearly, but equity doesn't. Think about it this way. If you earn $250,000 a year and you double your productivity, your income might go up. Maybe. But it still grows in a relatively predictable, linear fashion. Your output is always tethered to your time, your negotiating power, or your employer's generosity. Equity is different. When a company grows, and especially when it grows fast, its valuation doesn't just move in proportion to revenue, it reprices. Investors and markets apply a multiple to future earning potential, so a business that triples its revenue might see its valuation increase 10 times over. Suddenly, owning a significant piece of that business doesn't just make you comfortable. It changes your entire financial reality in a very compressed time frame. That's the moment wealth is created, not slowly, explosively. So how does this path actually work in practical terms? First, you identify a gap, an inefficiency in a market, an unmet demand that enough people have and are willing to pay to solve. Second, you create a repeatable solution, not a one-off service, a system. Third, you standardize that delivery so the business isn't dependent on your personal involvement in every transaction. Fourth, you scale distribution. Because a decent product with excellent distribution will always beat a brilliant product that nobody sees. And fifth, this is where most people stumble. You protect your ownership through every stage of growth. That fifth step is the critical failure point. Early-stage founders give away too much equity chasing capital. They build something that relies entirely on their own manual effort, which means they haven't built a business. They've built a demanding job with no paid time off. Or they scale before their systems are solid and the whole thing collapses under its own weight. The businesses that actually generate wealth are the ones that detach from the founder's daily labor. The goal isn't to work in the company forever. The goal is to build a machine that runs and then own that machine. Margins matter enormously here too. High gross margins mean the company keeps more of every dollar it earns. That retained capital gets reinvested into growth. Growth drives valuation multiples higher. Higher multiples mean your ownership stake becomes worth dramatically more. It's a compounding loop, but it only works if you maintain the equity position to benefit from it. One more thing worth acknowledging, most businesses fail. The statistics are not encouraging. But the reason this path still attracts serious people is the asymmetry of the outcome. You can lose time and startup capital. Painful, yes. Or you can end up owning a meaningful stake in a company worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. The downside is bounded, the upside is not. That's a bet a certain type of person is willing to make. Path 2. Buy the engine. The second path doesn't require you to build anything. It requires you to own things that are already working, and then let time do the heavy lifting. This is the investor path, and it operates on one foundational principle: productive assets compound. When you own shares in a profitable company, that company generates revenue whether you show up or not. When you own rental property, tenants pay rent whether you're thinking about real estate or not. The asset works independently of your presence. That decoupling between effort and wealth is the whole point. Historically, broad equity markets have delivered meaningful long-term returns when held consistently over decades. Real estate, when purchased strategically, combines rental income with property appreciation. Private businesses and equity funds have historically targeted even higher returns, though with corresponding illiquidity and risk. None of these are guaranteed. But across long time horizons, the direction of productive ownership has been upward. The mathematics of compounding are genuinely counterintuitive until you live them. In the early years, progress feels glacially slow. You invest consistently and the numbers barely seem to move. Then something shifts, typically after a decade or more, and the curve bends sharply upward. The reason is simple. Each year's returns are calculated on a base that includes all previous returns. Growth multiplies growth. Time is the variable that makes this extraordinary. The practical framework here has 5 steps. First, generate surplus income beyond your living expenses. Second, allocate that surplus into productive assets, things that generate cash flow, appreciate in value based on real underlying earnings, or both. Third, reinvest the returns rather than spending them. Fourth, repeat this consistently for years, ideally decades. And fifth, avoid catastrophic loss. That last step is underrated. One bad decision that wipes out a significant portion of your capital doesn't just hurt the principal, it destroys years of compounding momentum. What this path gets wrong for most people is a misunderstanding of what produces results. Many investors believe the key is finding the smartest trade, the hidden gem, the perfectly timed move. The data doesn't support that. The majority of long-term investor wealth has historically come from broad, consistent exposure to growing economies, not from brilliant individual picks. The real competitive advantages are mundane: staying invested during downturns, reinvesting every distribution, increasing contributions over time, and not letting emotions override the system. Emotion is the primary enemy of compounding. Markets fall, people panic and sell. Markets recover. Disciplined investors recover with them. Reactive investors lock in losses and miss the rebound. You don't need to be exceptionally intelligent to build wealth through ownership. You need to be patient, consistent, and resistant to your own psychological impulses. That turns out to be rarer than intelligence. Path 3. Enter the system, then convert. The third path is for people who don't start with capital and don't want to build from zero. It's a bridge. And for many people, it's the most realistic starting point. Here's the concept. You enter a high-value system, position yourself where leverage is concentrated, earn outsized income, and aggressively convert that income into ownership as fast as possible. Not all jobs pay the same. Not all industries create equal leverage. Finance, technology, law, enterprise sales, executive leadership in large organizations. These are sectors where individual contributors can earn incomes that are multiples of the national median. That income gap exists for a reason. In these fields, one person's work can influence the outcome of a $2 billion deal, a product used by millions of users, or a legal structure that protects enormous amounts of capital. Scale of impact drives scale of compensation. But here's the catch. Income alone doesn't make you wealthy. It gives you the raw material. What you do with it determines everything. This path has 5 phases. The first is skill development. You build a genuinely scarce, economically valuable capability. Not something trendy, something that drives revenue, allocates capital, manages risk, or reduces cost at significant scale. Scarcity creates pricing power. The second phase is system selection. You deliberately choose to work within industries where value compounds. A strong skill applied inside a weak or shrinking industry caps your potential. The same skill applied inside a scaling, capital-rich system expands it dramatically. The third phase is proximity to capital. This is where most high earners stall indefinitely. They develop excellent skills. They land good jobs. And then they remain pure operators, trading time for salary, without ever negotiating proximity to actual upside. The shift happens when you begin structuring your compensation to include equity grants, profit participation, performance bonuses tied to enterprise value, or carried interest. This is when the income path begins to merge with the ownership path. The fourth phase is aggressive conversion. Every bonus, every stock grant, every windfall, it goes straight into productive assets, not lifestyle upgrades, not upgraded cars or larger apartments, assets that work. This requires a gap between income and spending that most high earners never maintain because lifestyle inflation expands to meet income almost automatically. And the fifth phase is detachment, the point at which your asset base generates enough return that your labor becomes optional. This is the exit from the earned income treadmill into genuine ownership. Once you cross this threshold, you've effectively transitioned from path 3 into path 2. So there you have it, 3 paths. Build the machine, buy the machine, enter the system, and convert. All three share one common requirement: ownership. Wealth flows to people who own productive things. Whether you created them, purchased them, or earned your way in and converted, it's ownership that does the work while you sleep. Know in the comments what you have gained from this video so that we can improve and keep doing that better. Don't forget to share this video with at least one person who will get some insights, because one video is enough to give people enough ideas to change their lives. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.